Would you join us in the pledge and prayer?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would please join me in a word of prayer. Father, we come before you tonight and we ask you for your guidance and wisdom. Help us to do the best and make the right decisions for our taxpayers, our department heads, our elected officials, our employees, and our community. Lord, we thank you for the blessing of living in such a wonderful community. It is beautiful, and we so celebrate the freedoms that we're allowed here. And Lord, please be with those that are suffering from the Canadian wildfires and the smoke that is brought down into the United States. And Lord, please be with those first responders and the military who stand in harm's way to protect us each and every day. God, please be with them, keep them safe, and let them go home to their loved ones every night. Lord, we ask all of this in your Son's precious name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, is everyone's microphone on? And I would ask anybody in the audience to silence your phones or turn them off. With that, I'd like to call the meeting of June 8th, 2023 to order. And with that, I'll look for approval of the 5/11 minutes.
So approved. So moved.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor, usual sign. Okay, and with that, we will ask for approval of the special meeting on 5/23.
Just 1 second, I have to abstain from that since I wasn't at the meeting.
Right.
I'm sorry, I missed that. So we're looking for approval of the minutes of the special meeting on 5/23.
So moved.
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, usual? Okay, thank you. Moving right along, we have Reedy Financial Group with a presentation tonight for full council.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right into the microphone.
Right into the mic. I will
Yes.
do so. Yeah, I am pretty loud. My voice carries. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having us attend tonight, and members of the public. My name is Matt Frishy from Reedy Financial Group. This is Brandon Robbins from Reedy Financial Group. We are here tonight to just do a brief overview of kind of our company and discuss some of the discussions that we've had with you guys in smaller groups. I think we've met with most of you in smaller groups discussing kind of our company and kind of what we can do and how we believe that we can benefit the county as far as from a financial standpoint. And the county is in a great financial standpoint, but with our services, I think you guys could be in even better position. So if you don't mind, we'll go right into the presentation.
I have noticed that some of it's not showing up on the download. So what
Okay.
you guys have in front of you does have
Yep.
table of contents. So
Okay.
I'll skip it.
So just a quick overview. We're going to dive into a little bit of who we are, kind of what makes us different than our competitors, kind of the process involved with kind of the work that has been discussed for us to perform for you guys, and then just some other benefits and considerations that we just bring to the table as financial advisors. So like I said, our company's name is Reedy Financial Group. You'll see on that main first page, our mission is to empower our clients through education, evaluation, and guidance of the financial landscape entrusted to them. What that means is at the end of the day, even though we are here before you to consider a service, providing a financial plan, a long-term capital improvement plan, at the end of the day, our goal is to educate you guys and be an advocate for you guys and be a partner for you guys throughout any and all situations that arise throughout the year and in the future. You guys have been elected officials by your constituents, and it's imperative that you guys are knowledgeable on the topics that you guys face on a daily, monthly, and yearly basis. So we're here to help educate you guys through that process, help assist in whatever way we can, and offer our expertise. I believe just kind of how we got here, right? The first time I met you guys was at actually a district meeting for the Association of Indiana Counties, where we were presenting on our financial plan and our capital improvement plan. I had the pleasure of meeting you guys there, and from there we've kind of just developed this relationship over it seems like a year or two, right? Through various meetings to just go over kind of what sets us apart. Really, the RFG difference, we are a full-service financial advisory firm that specializes in government finance. But at the end of the day, we're not here to come in, provide a service, and leave. We are very much a relationship-driven company. We believe in the long-term approach, where we're not just going to come in, provide a service, and walk away. We're here to not only help you establish a plan, but then also help maintain it as things progress and as things pop up throughout the years to come. So we do a holistic approach. We look at all available revenues, and we like to match up kind of what is your long-term plan, what are your long-term goals, and how can we develop a full picture financial plan to help you guys get there and make sure that taxpayer dollars are being used in the most efficient way possible. Another benefit is we like to say that we're on the forefront of legislation and all of these, government financial topics as they arise. So we have the ability to identify unique opportunities that communities all across the state use. So you guys are focused in Kosciuszko County. Well, we're across the state, so we are able to bring other ideas that we see in other communities to the table and kind of see if that idea makes sense in your guys' unique situation as well. And then in a smaller degree, we're also your safety net, right? At the end of the day, you have annual reporting requirements, you have annual things that you need to do, budget processes. We're here to be that safety net so that nothing slips through the cracks, and we're always making sure that you guys are accountable and meeting your deadlines and requirements. On the next page, really just, as I mentioned, we're a full-service financial advisory company. And what that means is we offer all services from accounting and bookkeeping, long-term operational and capital improvement planning, budgeting, economic development and TIF, and then we're also registered municipal advisors. And what that means is even though we may not be specifically talking about each of those aspects, we bring that knowledge to the table and can help advise if you do have questions. We're here as a resource. So even we may not be engaged to work on TIF or economic development, but we have that knowledge to help answer any questions that you may have. So from that, I'll turn it over to Brandon for a little bit, and he'll kind of go into the next few slides.
Well, that was pretty good. He was on a roll. We should probably just have him keep going. So a few of the things we've also talked about and what we're going to get into through the rest of this with the time that we have is, yes, it costs money to have a service like this. And in many cases over the many years we've done this, we've found that we've developed efficiencies or utilized fund flexibility within your plans, or even found those revenue generating opportunities that exceed the cost that we have. I can assure you that there's things that are not being done right now that are going to be built into a long-term plan that will benefit you in a way that likely exceeds the cost of this service. Again, some of those things, when I talk about revenue generating opportunities, I can give you some examples. We've had clients more recently that have substantial assessed value growth, and there are opportunities to adjust those maximum levies that are restricted and do it in ways that you're not raising property taxes while you do it. That generates new tax levy, that generates new revenues inside of your operational and capital funds in some circumstances. And again, you can do it a lot of times without raising property taxes overall. Fund flexibility, oftentimes, that's my favorite thing to do inside of a financial plan when I first get in a community. You are able to see funds that are maybe able to be used for capital, and capital is those big ticket items, right? Funds that are building cash that maybe shouldn't be, that can be used for capital, but yet we're putting our capital in our operational funds. And when we do that, we're kind of preventing the ability to grow our essential services, our salaries and wages, and even the big health insurance costs that everybody's faced with today. So by moving some of that capital out of those operational funds, putting them in these other capital funds, you're freeing up that opportunity over here. So there's things like that right off the cuff that inside of the financial planning process, as we gather your goals, as we start to look at the future, we're able to achieve through that planning piece. The other thing that we really emphasize, and you're going to hear this a lot through this discussion, and you've heard it a lot, but the relationship, the partnership. We wouldn't do what we do, and we couldn't do what we do without a partnership with the entire community. We've talked to each and every one of you. We've met with your old auditor. I believe we might even have met with the new auditor a little bit. But in the long run, we partner with those individuals. We partner with you guys. We generate this stuff based on the day-to-day general ledger information. We don't want to do that. You don't want to pay anybody to go in and do that. So the partnership with the auditor's office is key. Being able to have, when I say don't want to pay anybody, you want to pay an outside firm, a CPA firm like us, to come in and do that. It gets too costly. So essentially, we utilize that data and to meet your guys' goals through a long-term vision. And I talk to you guys a lot about the roadmap. You know, right now there's a lot of good ideas and a lot of good things that we want to do. How do you put it on paper to generate something that gets you where you want to go? So that's kind of what this plan is about. Again, tonight, probably not going to show you a lot of pictures. We've shown you guys a lot of examples. We like to kind of nerd out on that, for lack of a better term, but don't have a lot of time to do that. But the big booklet we always talk about, that's got those examples and things. And I think I've emailed most of you guys some of those. So again, growth takes time. And that's why Matt said we want the relationship over the long run. And talked to Mike a little bit earlier. You know, what we're looking at is, let's start to build this thing now. Let's do it for the remainder of the year. You asked about a long-term, like fiscal 12-month period. Get through the end of the year. Let us prove ourselves too. Make sure the relationship's right for you guys as well. So that's kind of what we're proposing here this evening. The next slide is actually getting into the process at a higher level. And I will try to, oh man, sorry public, it is on our paper. I don't know why it's not showing up on this. It just didn't download all of it. But so basically what we're looking at is a timeline. And in that timeline, you can see our general process for the big picture stuff is that January to March period, January to April, you're looking at a financial plan update. And after we've kind of built this and worked with you guys to build it, what we're doing is then kind of matching up, did we meet our goals? Are we moving in the right direction? Or do we need to pivot and move in a different direction? So how do we end the year? What do we do on the budget process? Are there things that are happening in the legislation that are going to affect you? Because most of the time in that period, we are literally talking to folks at the General Assembly, and we're hearing about Senate bills, House bills, things that are going to literally change the revenue landscape for our communities. So we're implementing that stuff at that time as well and preparing you for things you might not know about. As you move into that first quarter, we usually do a first quarter financial update. And that's when we start to develop really the department list of capital needs. And not just that, but taking that big list, a piece of paper list that has all the things you've been wanting to do for years, and we're starting to actually assign $1 to every single one of those. It's not just building a list. It's giving every single item on that list a home and where it's funded, or where it's not funded, right? So going into that, understanding what we can and cannot do, what's the impact on the taxpayers when we do that? You know, what is it that we need to change inside of that revenue structure? Or what can we do within those funds, like I mentioned earlier? So, and then you jump into the second quarter. That's when we really start to get to that budget process. So by then, we have enough information to generate your revenue projections for your budget. So before you ever sit down with department heads and before your department heads really start to develop those budget estimates and sit down with you guys and do those drafts, we're wanting you guys to at least have your revenue estimates for all your major operating and capital funds. When we start to match that up to everything that you're receiving, how many line items do you have in your budget? Thousands. So you start to give that big picture snapshot of, okay, we can actually fund this. It makes sense. Or it doesn't. And we need to start looking at other alternatives. So we also do, and a lot of times in that period, that council workshop we talked about, a lot more of the education, high level, what did the legislature do, what's our growth quotient going to be, things like that. So, and then at the end of the year, we really kind of tee up, if we decide to do that meeting, we kind of tee up, how did we end up approving our budget? What is the impact of that on our goals? What are the adjustments we might need to make to clean things up and be ready for the year-end annual reports? So big picture, that's kind of that cyclical 12-month calendar year deal. So deeper dive into that. This one didn't show up either, did it? Apologize. It's actually really pretty. Yeah. So budget timeline. I've got some dates that I think you guys are kind of following here. This thing's obviously very fluid, but you're right on the front end of this right now. From that June 30th standpoint all the way to that November 1st deadline, we have statutory deadlines we have to meet for the budgeting process. And that includes the partnership with getting the financial ledgers and all the information that we need collectively to build the budget, because it's a 18-month budget. It's not a 12-month budget. Getting the department head information, meeting with them, making sure that we're putting information and stuff into action that we need inside of our community. And then funding other things like projects, capital, things like that, raises. So putting all that on paper is really right around the corner, the next 6 to 8 weeks, I would say. From there, you guys go through the process. You have the advertisement date on here. You have your department head meetings on here. You have your public hearing on here, and you have your adoption. So once you get through that process, everybody needs to take a vacation. So that's the way I look at it. But that is pretty close to what I'm assuming you guys will probably follow this year. Normally what we would produce is a more detailed timeline that we would all follow together. So again, everybody rowing in the same direction. So I think this might be the last slide for us, and Matt's going to jump into that.
Yeah, and I think that just kind of piggyback off what some of the things that Brandon said, I really wanted to hone in on the kind of the relationship between the auditor's office and us, right? As Brandon said, we don't want to be doing the auditor's job. We don't want there to be any duplication of work. We don't want you guys to be paying for a service that you're not finding value in and that you are getting somewhere else, right? If you look at this in simple terms, right, the auditor's the day-to-day. We're the large, longer-term, big picture type thing, right? We're planning for when is that, and this is just an example, when is that large hospital, jail, large projects, when are those coming down the pike, and when do we need to look at having revenue sources to match up to those funding needs, right? So we are the big picture that works hand in hand with the auditor's office. We can't function properly without their excellent help. But by no means do we want to take over her job or their job. We want to assist them, help them out as needed, and make their jobs easier, your decision-making a lot easier, right? And then just on this slide, just some other benefits and considerations. And this is really just kind of the ancillary benefits that you would get with working with us, right? Outside of things that you're going to see on an engagement as far as the boxes that we're going to check and deliverables that we're going to give to you. We bring a lot more to the table. Like I said, we're a full-service government financial advisory firm. We have clients all over the state. Each year, the legislators are in session proposing legislation, and not only are we tracking those legislations and those proposed bills, but we're also advocating for ones that will benefit our clients, and we're also pushing back and trying to kill bills that negatively impact our clients. We have connections with all the major law firms that lobby at the State House. We have connections at all the major state agencies that also lobby at the State House. So, and we regularly perform data analytics, and if a legislator is proposing a bill, for instance, 1499 originally was proposing reduced tax caps, right, for the next couple of years, and kind of rolling those off over the next few years. We put together data for state agencies to then go in and show these legislators what the actual impact of this legislation is. Ultimately, that legislation got killed because of our help during that process, right? And then not only are we helping those state agencies with that data, all of that research, we then pass through to our clients, right? If we're developing an analysis, and this goes kind of into the third point too, we regularly are presenting in conferences across the state. That's where we met you guys at an AIC district meeting, right? We present at AIM, AIC, AICC, all these conferences across the state. At times, we're putting in hundreds plus hours of complementary research to develop this workshop and this presentation. Well, we take that data, if we're gonna develop this data and put in those hours, we pass that value through to our clients by improving efficiencies within your financial plan, by adding in additional features of your financial plan, additional comparative data that you guys can then use for decision making, and then also for having that knowledge when discussing things with the public, right? And knowing kind of where we sit financially. So I kind of went through there. I know I kind of touched base on that second one already. With our exposure across the state, communities across the state, we're constantly seeing new innovative ideas, new ways of doing things that we then can advise you guys if it makes sense, right? We're not going to advise something that doesn't make sense to your specific situation, but if we see that, we are a very relationship driven. We like to think that we're the we're the small mom and pop shop, right? Where we like the relationship and we value the relationship, and we want to make sure that we are, at the end of the day, I'm a registered municipal advisor, and I take that very seriously. I take that as it is my fiduciary responsibility to make sure that you guys are in the best financial position that you can possibly be in, and that you know all the facts. And then finally, with all this knowledge, we are available, and we regularly provide specialized training and educational workshops on all, aspects of government finance. So if, for instance, housing TIF, it's a hot topic right now. It's a newer topic, especially with some of the recent legislative changes. We regularly, update, as new things arise, we're regularly doing workshops to educate you guys on potential, projects, potential avenues that you can do to improve your financial position. So, I know that's kind of a quick presentation, a lot of information. I know we've gone into a lot more detail and kind of some more intimate meetings, but hopefully you guys kind of got an understanding of who we are, how we like to do things, and the value that we can provide for you guys. So with that.
You guys have just met, Matt and I think, I don't know if you've met any of the rest of our team, but there's a whole group of those folks that are consultants and not just accountants.
Yep.
So that's really important to us.
Yep.
Well, thank you, guys. Does anyone have any questions?
I do. I have some questions.
Yep.
So how do you receive the data from the auditor? Do
Yes.
you request to have access to our accounting
No.
online?
No, we don't need to do that. Honestly, at each quarter, when we would get data, we would just ask for them to send us 3 specific reports off their system. We've created automations on our financial planning process that allow us to take that
To
data
import it then.
and drop into our stuff, which then allows us to produce
Just
the
be a
reports we
seamless
need.
just export of
Yep.
the data that we then receive, and
But
based
the-
on your system, it matches right up to our.
And then that integrates right into the gateway system that the
Okay.
state uses.
But it would require the time of the auditor's office staff to be able to prepare you that data.
Yes, yeah, and we found, and we've asked a few of our auditors about that, it doesn't usually take more than about 10 minutes.
Okay.
So,
So-
just so you know, it doesn't take hours.
Can I ask which reports are you calling for if there's
Are
only
you
3?
using Lao?
Yes.
Yeah, so location budget report, the fund report, and then the revenue history report.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
would pull those 3 things, ask for them to just be sent in Excel through a certain time period, and after that, we would have what we needed. Up front, usually the initial request, we would ask for encumbrances that you guys might have done this year. Any additional appropriations on the horizon that we're not sure about or know about. And from there, I mean, there's not a whole lot more we would need until we got with you guys on your goals.
The
On
other
what you
thing,
wanted.
the other thing I would add is our financial plan is, at the end of the day, I say it is your financial plan, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are able to customize it to show whatever you want to show. So if you don't like a certain aspect, we can change it to show however you want it. So it is a living, breathing document that we are always constantly updating and making sure that it fits exactly what you guys want to see.
Right, right.
So my other question is on time frame. As you look at the chart that you had where the timeline is, we're already to June.
Right.
And so how would you propose that we catch up to where we need to be at this point?
Well,
Do
and
you have a
actually,
plan in
I had
mind?
this conversation with another county last night. So, yeah, so really, the budget can't be done until the June 30th ledgers are finished.
Right.
And generally, communities don't get the statutory requirement for the Form 1s from the department heads or the department head estimates to be submitted to the auditor's office isn't until June 30th. So realistically, I mean, the efficiencies that we've built into our program have allowed us to basically spend our time with you guys more rather than going in and data entering. So we can get those reports at end of June 30th. We can get them right now. We can do the update very quickly, but the modifications of what you guys want, we'll just want to meet with you guys either up here through Teams and then start to implement that. So realistic, we're not behind the 8 ball too far. What I would recommend is getting the Form 1s in, getting those June 30 general ledgers done, and then we can drop in and get ahead of those department head meetings and stuff like that. So that's how what I would do immediately if we were to move forward is send you guys a timeline of what we could see working to get through this budget season and really the end of the year with our services. So just everybody's on the same page. That's kind of our goal on anything.
Yeah, that's pretty critical.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a process that I've seen tons of counties do it tons of different ways. And there's a process that works very well, but it takes time to really implement that process. A lot of times folks are doing 4-day meetings with department heads and sitting there kind of scratching their head, but most of the time that's because they don't have the data they need to understand what the budget being requested is, whether it's funded or not. So we try to get ahead of that by providing the data first and then giving you what you need to go and sit down with them. So it makes it a little faster. From there, we meet again and kind of hone in the budget.
I was just going to ask if Rhonda had a question. Since
Oh, I'm sorry.
Rhonda is our auditor, did you have any questions that you can think of? Okay.
I have a question. With regard to your quarterly meetings with us, when we discussed it, on a Teams meeting, you said that we could have like open meetings between all the commissioners and the council members and open to the public. So we'd have, really great transparency for the public.
Yeah.
And I just thought I'd ask about that or have you elaborate on that so that
Sure.
we could
Yeah,
let
so
people know.
those are called workshops, the way that they're structured. There's something that allows you guys, now you can't vote. You can't, it's not like a meeting where you're calling it to order like this and then going in and making decisions on your budget at all. It's more of an educational workshop. It's very similar to you guys joining up at an AIC. Now, you do have to do the open door law piece where you would have to have 3 public places 48 hours in advance notification. So, but that's what that would be. It would be more of what I call a budget workshop or an educational workshop.
Then we do have clients that a lot of times will structure those to correspond maybe with a joint meeting afterwards, right?
Okay.
Where they can then close that educational workshop, then have a joint meeting where they're actually discussing and making decisions and if needed, voting on things at that time.
Yeah, oftentimes maybe at 4 o'clock here and then at 6 o'clock you do your normal meeting. Something like that.
If there was an agreement to utilize your services,
Yep.
are you on a year-to-year basis? So in other words, if we said, okay, we'll try this out through the end of 2023, then we have the opportunity to revisit that every calendar year
Yes.
as to whether we would continue.
Absolutely,
The
yeah.
last thing we want you guys to be is, like I said, paying for something that you don't find value in, right? We want you guys to feel absolutely comfortable. These are taxpayer dollars, so, it's imperative that you guys find value in what you're paying for. And we can always reevaluate, like you said, at the end of the calendar year. And hopefully we've shown at that point, the value that we do provide, so.
How many counties do you currently serve?
Ongoing, like what we're talking about here,
Correct.
probably 5 or 6. Yeah,
What
we
about
do a lot of projects for counties too.
What about municipalities? You service those?
A lot more, yeah, a lot more. We have, on our website, we do have a map of all the communities we've served, so there's quite a few. But, so there's ongoing work that we do, and there's basically special project work, right? So we've got multiple clients right now that are municipalities that are just doing annexations, but now have signed agreements for the financial planning process, or economic development, and doing financial planning now or something. So because we offer so many different things, a lot of times we get engaged to do those projects and then stay in there. But from a municipality perspective, I mean, between cities and towns, we're probably, as far as the number goes, I mean, close to 40. I mean, there's quite a few. But there's 92 counties, right? There's what, 30-some hundred units of government in the state of Indiana, 351 cities and towns, 92 counties. So we have a decent margin there, but we find that because we're so involved, we have to continue to build really good consultants in our office to be able to keep scaling. So that's been one of our biggest things. We're not just bringing them in and sending them out.
Yep.
So,
Just like the whole concept, as I said earlier, we're not here to come in, do a service, leave, right? We value more the relationship, and that's, I think, what sets us apart from some other of our competitors.
You're talking about, obviously, you can, show us you can impress us by the end of the year, for lack of a better way to say it.
No doubt.
Can you touch on your fee schedule and
Yeah.
what that would look like?
yeah, since day one, we've talked to you guys about this, and I apologize for not mentioning it earlier. What we've done as an accounting firm, the historical way to do things is just bill hourly, right? You have an hourly rate for services and all that stuff. We still bill hourly rates, but what we've done is fixed our contracts. So what we try to do is build efficiencies internally, and then that way we give our clients transparency. So you guys know exactly what it is. So our fees for this type of service for the entire financial planning piece, long-term capital, operational, and budgeting process is $60,000 annually. And what we do is just annualize that over $5,000 a month. So you don't get the ebbs and flows of a long-houred month in between. So sometimes budget season runs pretty heavy, so you get that bell curve going up. But we do, for this specific discussion that we've had, we would do it through the end of the year, so it wouldn't be a full 60,000.
Okay,
That's how we discuss setting it up.
all right.
And so you would bill the county at 5,000 a month? Is
Yeah,
that what I
if you agreed to
understand?
that, if not, we can do hourly, but we like the transparency, and most of our clients, since we've started doing this, really likes the cash flow transparency. They know what it's gonna cost to provide the service, to have the service. And that was a big reason why we wanted to meet with you guys and show you the actual products that we offer, instead of just looking at it during the AIC regional meetings.
And I would like to say that I appreciate all the time you've spent with two of us at a time.
Yeah, no doubt, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Have to follow those rules,
Yeah.
but I do appreciate in
Yeah.
answering all the questions and sending us all the data.
If COVID gave us one thing, it's increased technological, abilities, so.
Our IT firm got paid a lot more after all that. So,
Okay, anybody have additional questions? If not, thank you, guys, I appreciate it,
certainly,
and have a safe drive back to
Yes.
Indianapolis.
appreciate it. We're thankful for the opportunity, guys.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
I did talk to Marcia and just to check to see whether or not there were funds in the commissioner's contract account in order to be able to pay for these. And there are funds, so there will not be a need for any transfers or any additional
Additional.
appropriations for the rest of this year. So I just thought I'd let you guys know that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Well, thank you guys very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I believe that if time is of the essence and talking to everyone, there's been some interest, I guess I would look for a motion on what you intend to do.
I'd like to make a motion that we hire Reedy at the 5,000 a month through the end of '23 and take an evaluation at the app to see how that fit with our structure.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that with if I could add to it, that it would be more of a recommendation to the commissioners,
Yes.
because it's ultimately up to the commissioners to make the decision.
You adjust your
I'm
motion?
going to adjust my motion.
Okay, all right. Okay, with that, I guess I'll ask for the usual sign.
Could we
All
have
those-
some discussion on the motion?
Sure.
So if this turns out to be a plan, that we come up with a long-term strategic plan in the end, I am very supportive. If this is just taking our watch and telling us what time it is, I am not supportive, because we have the reports here and have had every month of what our cash balances are,
Right.
of what our individual fund balances are. And so if it's going to be something that's productive, I'm in favor of it. But if it is not going to get us, in the end, a plan, a 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, whatever it takes plan, so that when we come back to budget time, we know what the commissioners are putting in their budget and exactly what that money is going to be spent for. And it will be no more open blank checks for it to be spent any way it winds up being spent, because by that time, we have given up all control for
Right.
what money is being spent.
Right, and if I
That's my
understand you, I mean, basically, we would know, we would have an idea of that by the end of the year.
And
Okay.
I think that that was basically one of the biggest reasons that we had an interest in your group, and is because we have a lot of things that we want to do, and we need to actually put it into a plan and work the plan. So,
And I will echo Sue Ann's comments.
yeah.
I'm willing to try them out for 6 months to see what it get us. And if they can provide us with a solid plan, then I would look to go forward next year. But we just have to see where we come up the end of the year.
I came in here tonight and I was going to vote no, because I didn't believe it was a good use of taxpayer dollars. But after speaking with the commissioner and talking some more, I think I've changed my mind, so.
Right.
And that's not a normal thing.
And I'll echo that as well. I mean, when it was first introduced to me, I was entirely not on that side of the fence because I don't want the duplicating effort. I don't want our auditor to feel like we're second guessing her ability. But as I work through this thing and think about our long-term goals, I believe it's going to be beneficial for the county. So with that, we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor, usual sign. Thank you.
And thank you,
guys.
Kathy. Kathy, thank you.
Thanks, Tim, for your help.
Okay, next up.
Thanks, guys. Be safe.
Thank you. Sheriff's Office, IRAC's presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening, Sheriff.
Jamie Whitaker, unfortunately, from the state, wasn't able to be with us tonight. However, we have Heidi Blake with K-Code, who kind of jump-started this IRAC's program. So I thought it was only fitting that she come tonight and kind of update you all on where we're at with the program and give you an opportunity to ask us some questions. So Heidi?
Good evening. I didn't know I was coming tonight to speak, but I'm so excited to be here and share about IRACs. I actually heard about this program last fall. We used to for the LCC, so K-Code, the Kosciuszko Coalition on Drug Education, is the LCC or the Local Coordinating Council for Kosciuszko County. So I'm the coordinator there, and we are the organizing and coordinating body to address substance use in Kosciuszko County. And I heard about IRACs at a meeting for LCC leaders across the state. And my first thought was, we have to get this program in Kosciuszko County. What we've been doing, and we've heard Sheriff Smith say it hasn't been working. We've been doing the same thing for years, and it's not working. We're still having overdose deaths. We are still seeing record rates of people being incarcerated. So I immediately talked to Tammy Cotton about it from Light, and then talked to Dan Hampton from the prosecuting attorney's office, and then led to a conversation with the now sheriff and chief deputy. And IRACs is an absolutely amazing program. So I'm not sure what all was shared with you before, but it stands for Integrated Reentry and Correctional Support Program. And it really is a wraparound services for individuals who are incarcerated in the Kosciuszko County Jail. So it could be that they are arrested and they are brought in for booking and they bond out. They are still able to participate in IRACs. They are able to sit down and have a one-on-one with someone and talk about their plan for being released and reentry in the community. It could be individuals who have been in there for a year or two and truly looking at what their reentry plan will be when they're released. So part of this is there are 5 roles. They are full-time roles within the jail. So there is a IRAC supervisor who will really oversee the program. And there are what they call forensic peers. There is an engagement coordinator, a reentry coordinator, and a resource navigator. And all of these individuals, as a part of the IRAC's program, are required to be in recovery themselves, with the exception of the resource navigator. So these are individuals they've been through it, they understand what these individuals are going through in their recovery journey, so they are able to walk alongside them. So again, if they've been in the jail for a day, a month, a year, they're able to participate. So part of the program is one-on-one support. So like I said, sitting down with those individuals, hearing their story, finding out what's going to help them to be successful. And the ultimate goal is for these individuals to maintain their recovery, have positive mental health, and not come back to the jail. Intake support, so doing surveys when they come in, sitting down, talking to those individuals. There's group mental health support and individual mental health support, and then there's separate substance use individual support and then group support. And I really love that aspect that it's divided out because the majority of the people that we come across, so I work also for Kosciuszko Cares and do some programming with the JCAP program. And the majority, if not all of those individuals, aren't just struggling with substance misuse, they are also struggling with underlying mental health conditions. So this program really addresses both. And then that true continuum of care, so that reentry plan. We're not just saying, okay, here's what we want you to do, now good luck, and don't come back to the jail. It's truly looking at what's going to keep them successful. Sometimes going home is not the best option for their recovery if there are things happening within that home. So it could be looking at another place for them to stay. Oftentimes, and Tammy from Light can attest to this, is we have individuals in the jail that have somewhere to stay out of the county, but they have no way to get there. So part of this program would be looking at exactly what's going to happen step by step when they are released. And just a few share, the goals of the program are to increase community collaboration. And honestly, this is the one most exciting parts to me for this program is making sure that everyone's at the table. So whether that's individuals who are providing services like Bowen Center, it could be Fellowship Missions, Light, all of these people are coming together and working as one group with that one common goal of helping these individuals in their recovery. Reducing recidivism rates, so again, keeping them out of the jail, out of that justice system. So supporting diversion and modification plans. So part of the process is working with the prosecuting attorney's office and looking at that individual and if they would be eligible for a modification or a diversion plan. And then decreasing mental health and substance use stigma. And then the big part is that reentry transition plan. So again, looking at what steps are they going to take when they leave the jail so they don't come back.
Anyone have any questions?
And Heidi, didn't you say today, actually, at our meeting, weren't you saying that it was, things like getting an ID? Because you can't rent a place without an ID. A lot of the things that like JCAP is helping them with also, this program can coordinate with them when they re-enter, when they get out of the jail and they go back into society, try and find a place to live and things like that.
Absolutely. And the majority of these individuals, they don't have IDs, so it's hard for them to get a job. You can't get a job if you don't have identification to prove who you are. Oftentimes, trying to get housing, if you don't have identification, again, very difficult. You can't open a bank account. Most things in our society you need an ID for, and part of this program is a mobile BNV site. So having someone come in from the BNV and being able to provide them with identification, and that is one of the key parts of the program before they are released, that they will walk out of the jail with a government-issued ID.
I have a couple questions. One, you said there were 5 full-time roles involved in this.
Yes.
How many of those are paid roles, and how would that be funded?
Yes, so they are all 5 are paid roles. So the funding for that, part of the funding comes from the state through Recovery Works. And then part of the funding will actually go through what we call the RCO. So it's the Recovery Community Organization. And in Kosciuszko County, that is Light. So Living and Transition Effectively just received their RCO status. So the funding will come partially from the state, and then they have applied for a grant through the K-21 Health Foundation. But our goal would be working towards sustainability. So as these individuals who are hired for the roles become certified, they are able to bill for their services. So as they are either doing group or individual therapy, maybe it's helping someone with their recovery plan. If they are certified, they will be able to bill Recovery Works from the state level for the hours.
So Heidi, does, excuse me, does the county have any input, oversight, relationship with this funding at all? Or is this all done by separate groups?
So the funding that's coming from the state is all through the county and specifically through the sheriff's department. But the funding that's also going through the RCO, which is light here, really, everyone has an input in that. And we do get guidance from the state level. So like I said, Jamie Whitaker unfortunately couldn't be here. He works at the state level for this program, and he has oversight of that as well. And we have formed an IRACS committee who has been working on this. So it's myself and the sheriff, chief deputy, Dan Hampton, Tammy Cotton, and Casey Trombley from JCAP.
Any additional questions?
And did you say that this is funded for a year, correct?
Yes, that is
But then
correct.
after that, hopefully they can bill and then we'll be able to sustain it. Is that what we were talking about earlier?
Yes, exactly. And so the sites that started last year have been refunded for a second year. But it is a pilot program, so it's looking at the success rate. Is it truly working? Are they having an impact? So there is the potential that we could be refunded for a second year as the pilot sites have, but there's no guarantee for that at this point.
And then there are measurable standards, so you're tracking, I'm assuming, and.
Yes, so they, through the program, part of it is all of, actually, the inmates will have an iPad. They will be issued an iPad. And as well as the staff members. So they utilize an EHR or electronic health record system, similar if you went to your physician. So they are keeping track of what the individuals have done, what groups have they attended, where they are in their recovery plan. But yes, absolutely.
Great. The one meeting that I did attend, I found it very, very interesting. And I do think it's a positive program if we can figure out the way, the funding piece of it.
Sheriff, would you have anything like that you'd like to add?
Yeah, Heidi did an excellent job, as she always does. That's why I wanted her up here. She's put a lot of time and effort in this, so thank you, Heidi, for doing this. I think it is important to reiterate that this is by no means, I think I've said this before when I was up here, a program that's going to replace JCAP, right? This is going to run parallel with JCAP. It's designed that way, so that'll ease people's minds. JCAP's going great. We have a female class that's getting ready to wrap up and graduate in this building at 3 o'clock on the 23rd of June. And I invite anyone and everyone that's willing to come and hear the stories on the success of those ladies that have gone through it. So that's all I have for IRACS. Chris, do you have anything? Okay.
Part of the process of going through this, of trying to bring the IRACS program here, we're actually in conjunction with K-Code, with Light. They're putting on an informational meeting with the community itself, trying to highlight who those individuals in the community are that might be interested in participating in the peer recovery part of it, things like that. And we actually have that scheduled for June 21st, 2023 from 5:30 to 7 p.m. It's at the Palette, 2521 East Center Street, and it's open to the public for anybody to attend to learn more in that meeting as well.
Thank you for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any
Excellent.
additional questions?
And we actually do have copies for anybody that would like.
Sure.
Can I ask a quick question? The iPads, so I know you guys were talking about that. Is that through the IRACS program then?
So I think she's referring to the tablets. That's
Yeah.
through Securus that we talked to you about
Yeah.
before, that'll integrate with the IRAC system, so.
Okay, so if we weren't doing the IRAC system, we wouldn't be getting those.
Tablet.
No, we were moving forward with the tablets
Okay.
anyway. It's just, so, like I mentioned before, so many jails have already moved that direction. And I think
Right.
that Dearborn County, who's one of the
Yeah.
pilots, I think they're already on them. So they've been able to integrate the two
Yeah.
together, so,
Okay, I was just checking, I couldn't remember.
yeah.
Figured you probably told us, but
I may
Thank you.
have. I can't remember who I've told what.
thank you.
We actually have a
Thank you.
state called meeting the 24th, so some of us may not be able to be at that.
Okay.
Isn't it the 23rd and 24th? Is it
Yeah,
Friday?
this is the 21st.
It's the
The-
21st.
Oh, I'm talking about the graduation.
Oh, right, the
JCAP.
JCAP
The J,
graduation.
what I was
right.
talking about for the JCAP graduation.
Oh, the 23rd,
The
yes.
council actually has a state called meeting near Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
That weekend. So I just wanted to share
Yeah,
that
well, I
in
pre-
case you
Yeah.
notice that no one's there.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you for letting me know. I thought you were gonna tell me it was in here, and I was like, she told me she checked that.
Thank you for the presentation,
Yeah.
Sheriff.
Thank
You're welcome.
Next up, you're up.
Yeah.
Commissary.
Yeah, so this is in reference to, a while back, we come before you on applying for a grant through Indiana Homeland Security for the body camera program for the jail. So it's time that we come up with our portion of the matching grant. It's a higher amount, so I wanted to, I do have the funds in the commissary, but I wanted to bring it before you and ask for permission to do that. Our cut on this is going to be $23,909. Again, it's out of the commissary fund, and the funds are in there,
What's the current balance of the commissary fund, do you know?
$232,000.
Good job.
I appreciate the fact that you can fund that out of the commissary
Yeah.
fund.
And I appreciate the fact that you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Any additional questions?
So we have approved this grant already?
Correct.
And then did we do an additional appropriation to put it in? I'm not sure.
The
that
extra
we've-
23, you mean?
Well, what he's getting for the grant, that has to have an additional appropriation.
Did you know?
We'll check. It's not a
Okay.
big deal. We can do it anytime. It's
Okay.
not a big
We,
deal.
and we have the paperwork, and I think that was emailed to you, but if there's anything further we need to get to, we
Okay.
can do that.
So we have already approved this, so there's no vote on tonight?
I don't think that we came before you with this amount.
Correct.
They're pretty specific on this grant on what they'll pay for within the, I mean, it's body camera, the actual device specific and not the mounting device and not the docking station. So that's where our portion is coming from,
Well,
so.
correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't have to approve commissary funds, but we appreciate him bringing them to us to let us know what he's spending the money on.
Right.
Okay.
Right, but
Really
the
appreciate
grant is the only thing
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we
The
would.
grant
Yes, and
portion,
the grant was
grant
already
portion we
brought
have to
before
do.
you.
Okay.
but not the commissary portion.
And not to confuse you, I just, with that higher amount, I wanted to bring it before you tonight, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next up, we are, let's kind of change this up a little bit. We have a bunch of abatements here down toward the end. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the Dreyfus abatements? No? So basically, these are a reaffirmation or a annual review of abatements that are already in order. That's my understanding.
That we have to approve the dollar amounts
Right.
that are tied to them. Yes,
Right.
yes.
Yes.
They're not part of that.
So they're not new.
And
But we have nobody here to represent them.
Correct.
do you want to take?
So I would make a motion to table that to our July meeting until they have representation here.
Do
And
I have a second?
I don't know that somebody will be here, because a lot of times they aren't, because this is
But they should be.
Do we have all the information we need at this point?
no, at this point, I don't think we have everything we need to proceed, not necessarily from the people, but from the internal workings of the courthouse to be sure that these numbers are the correct numbers that need to be approved.
Okay.
Again, I'll reaffirm my motion to table this to July, till we have all the information and representation.
Okay, do we have a
And I
second?
would second your motion, Tony.
Okay,
Thank you.
all those in favor, the usual? So moved.
What about IDNA?
Same.
I thought we
think
were
that's
handling
part of
all.
it.
Is that-
Let's do
No.
IDNA as well.
Both of them.
Okay, so your motion includes both,
Louis Dreyfus and IDNA?
All abatements.
all
Okay.
abatements, correct, okay, we're done.
Did you ask if there's anybody here for IDNA? Just point of order, we should probably ask that too, just in case they're here.
As Joni said, is there anybody here for IDNA? Okay,
All right then.
all done. Now we're on to not-for-profits. Let's see, first up, Kosciuszko County 4-H Council, Tyler.
Tyler and Company.
And company, yeah.
Thank you for letting us be a part of your meeting tonight. I brought along a lot of support, and they are glad to be here. This is what we call real-life experience, right? I'm Tyler Bowles, the 4-H Council, Kosciuszko County 4-H Council President, and I'm supported by Barry Ostrom, who's my avid partner on the council as the treasurer. And then I've got 4 currently enrolled 4-Hers with me, and I'll introduce them as they come up and share. They're going to share why 4-H they feel what impact it's had on their lives, okay? But first, putting attention towards our request, the 4-H program in Kosciuszko County is to provide sustainable youth education and development services. Andrew Farrow, who is our extension educator, was unable to join us. He's at 4-H camp this week. Maybe he would rather be here than there, but he's living life large at camp with several 4-Hers from several counties, actually. So I'm glad to bring forward the number that he provided in the packet. He, through the 4-H program, through outreach programs like STEM, and also partnering programs with places like the YMCA, the Boys Club here in the county. He, along with his support staff, have served since October 1st of 2022 until May 31st, 2,522 youth served that they had documented. And the funds that we're requesting are to provide assistance in materials. We're requesting a 3% increase over last year. That is to provide an increase in material and supply cost, as well as the memorandum of agreement increase that took place once again this year with the Fair Board. The mission of the 4-H group is to provide real-life educational opportunities that develop young people who positively impact their community and role. I've got 4 here with me tonight that are going to share. We'll start off with Caleb Leckleitner. He's going to share 4-H experience and the impact on his life. Caleb is a 9-year 4-Her. I wrote it down, but I put it in the back. Caleb will start it out, and then his sister will follow.
Okay, so I'm Caleb Leckleitner, a 9-year 4-Her, like Tyler said. A little bit about what 4-H is. 4-H has given me a lot of opportunities to develop leadership, but not only that, given me the opportunity to be an Indiana State 4-H ambassador. So I was on like the front of the state as a trial group just to like lead the state and like kind of express and show 4-H to the rest of the state and through, I think we shared some ideas with other states as well. So it just gave me the opportunity to develop my leadership and giving me lots of opportunities and taking me places that I couldn't imagine it would have done without it. So.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Good job.
I'm just thinking, this is awesome.
Hallie Leckleitner, she is a 3-year. This is her 3rd year.
Hi, my name is Hallie Leckleitner, and this is my 3rd year in 4-H. And 4-H has taught me hard work, determination, and dedication, and yeah.
Nash Bouse, he's a 7-year 4-Her.
You know that guy?
Hi, I'm Nash Bouse, and this is, like my dad said, 7th year in 4-H. And like Caleb said, it's given me so many opportunities between new friendships and just there's so many opportunities. Like you can, like from projects to livestock, like just you just have fun and live life.
What are you doing here in
Junior leaders, 3 of us are, what? Oh, Roundup at Purdue. That's another opportunity that 4-H gives us.
Thank you.
Hey, Leckleitner, he's a 7-year 4-Her as well.
So as I mentioned, us 3 boys were in junior leaders, and so we've noticed that as a large opportunity to grow throughout like 4-H, and we can just take that opportunity and we've used it to lead, and we've learned a lot from just like the basic skills to the larger skills that have just helped us and developed us like as people, and then just that will help us throughout our lives. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you have any questions regarding the request?
No, just a comment. Appreciate you teaching them public speaking, too.
Yes.
I just like to say, as a 10-year 4-H member myself, as junior leader, I know what they're going through and where they've been, and it's much appreciated. I was horse and pony. I don't know what your MOU is, but that was mine.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it.
Tyler, one question I have. You have a fair contract down here, a fee for it. What's that cover?
That's the rent.
That's right.
That's the rent that the 4-H has to pay to the fairgrounds.
Each
okay.
month, so we have a memorandum agreement, and it's paid it's a yearly contract, we
Right.
renew it every year, and it is paid monthly, and I believe that that's the fee, Barry.
So that's on all the 4-H facilities within the fairgrounds? Yes, okay.
Okay, and do you know, is that an annual one, like a January to December?
Yeah.
Okay, just curious. Thank you.
That memorandum allows the 4-H access to the fairgrounds for the week specifically, that we use it for the fair, as well as access to the grounds for meetings if we need it, but it's fairly limited.
Okay,
Correct. Very.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next up, we have Cardinal Services, Marcy Arndt. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Well,
Good. Marcy Art with Cardinal Services. First, we'd like to thank the county for their continued support of the work that Cardinal Services does in the community, and we couldn't achieve our purpose without partners like the county. This year, Cardinal Services is requesting $111,373 for calendar year 2024. This support will be used to support the daily operations of the programs offered by Cardinal, specifically in the following areas. Head Start, Early Head Start. This program prepares economically disadvantaged children, ages birth to 5, for success in school, and we serve nearly 200 children annually. For children birth to 3, we are in their homes providing services, and then for children 3 to 5, their services are provided in a school classroom setting, both at our location in Warsaw and in local schools. A family of 4 in this program can't earn more than $27,750 to receive services. Next, Healthy Families. We come alongside families and support them to decrease occurrences of child abuse. This program is a partnership with the family to learn healthy parenting. We provide in-home support to approximately 55 families every month. And we work with referral partners such as doctors' offices, hospitals, our local WIC clinic, the local Department of Children's Services, as well as self and family referrals. We focus on parental resilience, social connections, knowledge of parenting and child development, support systems, and social and emotional competency. And lastly, CABS. Kosciuszko Area Bus Service provides public transportation to all of Kosciuszko County. In calendar year 2022, we provided 36,351 rides. Over 50,000 rides were provided annually pre-pandemic. So we are working towards building that capacity back up to pre-pandemic levels. According to the 2022 demographic survey, 49% of all passengers considers cabs their primary source of transportation. Cabs is owned by the county, and county funds counts as local match, and it helps secure our federal dollars. Again, thank you for the support and the work that we do, and we are honored to serve our community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Marcy, I do have a question.
Sure.
Have we traditionally provided money for cabs through this request? Because this is money that is outside the freeze, outside the max levy, and it is to be for mental health purposes. That's why it's outside the tax freeze. I'm not sure, and I have to say, I didn't have time today to go back and look, and I intended to call you, so I
Sure.
sincerely don't want to just put you on the spot.
Yes.
But we need to be sure that CABS is meeting that mental health, because that's what qualifies us to pay this outside of the max levy.
Gotcha. My understanding is that CABS has been included in the past. Traditionally, it's been Head Start, Early Head Start, Healthy Families, and CABS.
Okay.
I believe last year or the year prior, we asked for permission to designate more towards Head Start, Early Head Start. But historically, I'd have to get back to you on how
Okay.
many years CABS has been funded.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have Stillwater Hospice, Glenn Hall.
Good evening,
Good
ladies
evening.
and gentlemen of the council, and thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. I come this year with a new name. As you are well aware, effective March 1st, Kosciuszko Home Care and Hospice became Stillwater Hospice. And Stillwater Hospice now would like to say thank you again for all of your years of support for Kosciuszko Home Care and Hospice. We could not provide the care that we do without your support. Our ask this year is the same as last year. We're asking for $50,000 to continue to support the Kosciuszko County residents who need comprehensive hospice, palliative, and grief services support. That world-class hospice care that I like to think of and that we like to call it comes at a cost. The amount that we receive reimbursed through Medicare, Medicaid, commercial insurance, and even some self-pay, private insurance doesn't fully cover the cost of that comprehensive care. Unfortunately, reimbursement rates have not kept up with the cost of providing that care. There's a gap, and that's what we use the funds that you grant to us for. The other thing that I have loved about our transition with Stillwater is Stillwater has as part of our mission a grief counseling services and grief support services that are done as a mission program. They're provided free of charge to anyone who needs grief counseling at all ages. And that program we're looking to expand into Kosciuszko County in the coming months. And so we're very excited about that. You do not have to have been affiliated with Stillwater Hospice to take advantage of those grief counseling services. The other thing that I want to make sure that you know and understand is that any money that is granted to us by the county is designated for Kosciuszko County specifically. It's not, while it may be sent to the bank in Fort Wayne or wherever they're going to keep it, it's designated very specifically for Kosciuszko County residents and is applied to those residents as that care is provided. We're looking forward to continuing to work with you. We hope that you will consider our grant request and continue the support that we've enjoyed for many, many years. Our goal is to continue to provide that world-class hospice, palliative, and grief services in Kosciuszko County. I would like to add that my new CEO, Leslie Friedel, was unable to be here this evening, but she sends her regards and thanks to you as well. Any questions I can answer for you?
Sorry, I'm full of them this evening.
That's all
but-
right, Sue.
So my question is, as I looked at Stillwater's financial, I don't see any specific line breakdowns of the other counties that they're serving and what their income is. Have they done these multiple counties?
Yes.
For a while?
Yes, they have now been, prior to, I want to say 3 years ago, they were in 8 counties in Northeast Indiana. 3 years ago, they did a similar acquisition that they've done with us with the Home Care and Hospice Agency that was located in Bern, covering 3 counties, a very similar merger and acquisition. And then Kosciuszko County makes county number 12 in Northeast Indiana that we're now serving with the corporate office based in Southwest Allen County. But they kept the office in Bern, and now the Kosciuszko County will be their western office.
So my request would be that as the financials are prepared, that a line be broken out for what Kosciuszko County is putting into it and what the cost of what Kosciuszko County is paying out. Be nice to know the numbers.
Sure.
Not names, just know, obviously, we don't care about the names. Well, we care, but I believe it's important that we know and have some documentation that what we're paying for is
Sure.
what we're getting.
Sure, before
Okay.
we were a standalone agency.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I can absolutely present that to our CFO and make that request for you. If she has any questions, may I have her reach out to you?
Absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you.
Any additional questions?
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you
Thank you.
so
Thank
much. Appreciate your time.
Next up, Kosciuszko County Historical Society, Greg Steffi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The Kosciuszko County Historical Foundation is requesting a budget for 2024 of $25,000. This is the same amount which we received from the county this year. These funds are critical to us in that they help to cover our day-to-day operational costs. They go towards helping to cover insurance, utilities, staff salaries such as they are, that sort of thing. We're going through a very exciting period of time over at the museum. Recently, well, actually just a couple weeks ago, we brought on board a new co-director, Sheila Strickland, who is with me this evening. Sheila has brought with her a great level of not only tech savvy, but organizational skills that is already starting to pay off dividends for us as we try to move forward and expand our outreach to the county. In my tenure at the museum, I've tried to set some goals for the organization. One of those was to raise the profile of the organization in the community, help to do more outreach to the community. In the process of that, we've tried to do at least 2 major open houses or events a year. About a month ago, we did a remembrance ceremony for our Vietnam era vets, which was very well received and attended. Later this summer, we're going to be doing a program in conjunction with the Third Fridays to celebrate the Native American heritage of Kosciuszko County. We're also trying to expand our outreach to the schools in the county. This is something that's kind of gotten lax over the last few years. We're trying to get back into the schools, bring more tours into the jail. It seems like pre-COVID, we did quite a bit of that, and since COVID has passed, not so much. Happily, we've actually got 2 tours coming in next week, so this is picking up. Sheila and I are working very hard to expand that. The other concern that we've had is membership. As I'm sure most of you are aware, memberships in a lot of organizations is dwindling. At the start of this year, our membership had dwindled to 262 members. That was the lowest in a long time. Through a concerted effort this year, I'm happy to stand here and report that right now our membership is fast approaching 450, which is the largest that it's been in years. So we're very happy about that. Also like to take this opportunity, if any of you are not members of the Kosciuszko County Historical Society, I would definitely like to invite you to join us. Come over, tour the museum, see what we have to offer, and just join us in trying to preserve our county's history and present it to the community. Are there any questions I can answer?
I have one.
Yes.
The 70-some odd dollars for Chenworth, I'd just like to know what you're doing at Chenworth, the Chenworth Bridge.
What the expenses go for? Okay, we have mowing.
Okay.
We have a monthly charge for a NIPSCO security light out there, and we have to pay liability insurance.
I'm just curious because Kiwanis has a park that are right there. And I know we've purchased a flag, and I knew somebody was keeping it mowed, but I had no idea who.
We've been working on that. I am trying very hard to move that bridge on to, actually, we've been trying to work with the newly formed County Park Commission. That would make an excellent location for their trailhead location. I mean, it's gotten to a point for us. At the time we rescued that bridge, it was a matter of preserving history. At that time, we had a younger, more vital membership. They used to go out there several times a year and have picnics and that sort of thing. With our aging membership, we simply don't do anything out there anymore. And it's of no advantage to us, and it's become more of a financial situation. At some point, it's going to have to be repainted due to its location over the river. That entails all kinds of complications with the DNR. So before that has to take place, I'd like to move it on to somebody that could probably put it to a lot better use than we can. So, anyone else?
No, I guess I'd like to add, my wife and I are lifetime members, and I really look forward to the Thaddeus when it comes out and reading of Days Gone By. It's extremely interesting things I didn't realize that even occurred in the county.
Dan Copeland does an absolutely outstanding job with that magazine, and we're very appreciative of his efforts.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have the Beeman Home. Renee. Good evening.
Good evening. Renee Sawyer, Director of the Beaman Home. And I am happy to report, I told the commissioners that I've made it through my first year as the executive director, so.
Congratulations.
This year has been looking at our budget, reorganizing and prioritizing things and really getting it to a point where we can make things easy to find the data that we need from it too. So we're doing very important, hard, and rewarding work for Kosciuszko County. We have had served 350 clients in 2022. That's about 80% of those people are from Kosciuszko County. So we are asking for $40,000 from the county this year to assist us with the gaps that we have in our funding for running the shelter. We received some really large grants from the state and federal government, but we have some little gaps that we need to fill. So about 25% of that gap would be filled with this funding. We do a lot of great things with our clients. We've seen a lot of success stories in the last year. I'm happy to report that we'll probably double the amount of people who are actually leaving the shelter and moving into their own apartments and becoming very successful. Most of the times, a lot of people leave and they do come back multiple times. So we find that our successes are from those times that we are educating them, and each time they come and go, they've learned more about having a healthy relationship. So we are working on helping them to get safety plans and helping them to find jobs, helping them through navigating the legal system and finding childcare, transportation. It's endless. So I thank you for all the support you've given us through the years, and I hope that you'll continue to support us this year or for 2024.
I just have one quick question, honey. The Mary Ann's place,
Yes.
do you own it outright or is there debt?
No, we own it outright.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I'd just like to say it's a very worthwhile service, and a lot of people would be without anywhere to turn to without that.
Yes, it's so true, and it's heartbreaking that, for the most part, we do see a lot of people coming in that are just strictly homeless, and our mission is not to provide that, but we have taken in some people, given them about 72 hours, and then, have to move them on because they're not part of the mission of the Beaman Home, but we're doing our part. We're trying to help them, and we're partnering with fellowship and other resources to really get them where they need to go to.
Well, not only does Beaman Home get grants to help operate, come to us for some money, but they also try to raise their own funds to
Yes.
make up for some of that. Just this past Monday was their 31st golf outing.
31st golf outing.
31st golf outing where they're raising money on their own too to help offset these costs. And that was my 29th year to play in it.
Yeah.
Golf outing.
Thank you. Yes,
You're not going to get an award for
No,
being involved.
I'm just saying, as a prior board member and president of that organization, they don't just ask for money, they go out and try to raise money too.
We do, and we have a very strong donorship that provides a lot of our funding too, so.
Great.
We're very blessed, very loved. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Next up, Kosciuszko Community Senior Services, David Neff.
Hi, David.
Hi,
Good
David.
evening.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the past support. Sue Ann, this is my 8th now.
my gosh.
Does that seem possible? I thought about bringing some of my seniors, like 4-H, brought the kids, but it's past their bedtime now. I'm briefly going to go over the programs. I think everyone knows our programs by now, but I want to talk about a new collaboration that we have. Our 3 programs are home delivered meals, transportation, and the Senior Activity Center. Home delivered meals, I know a lot of you up there have delivered meals, is crucial for seniors that were homebound, especially during COVID when they were asked to shelter in place. The other benefit of home delivered meals is they put a set of eyes on the seniors. We have had many instances where we've saved the lives of seniors by a volunteer calling in that something was wrong. Transportation, we're a little bit different than cabs. We're door to door. We will help carry groceries. We will help put your coat on. We do things like that. We prioritize medical appointments. Next is nutritional appointments. And then we do some fun things like in a month or so, we're going on the Dixie in Webster for a ride with the seniors. That's important for them too. The third program is the Activity Center. On any given day, we are a Rural Service nutritional site 4 days a week, which means Rural Services has a meal for the seniors. They are asked to make a contribution if they can. If they can't, they don't have to. On Thursdays, we have sponsored lunches like Paddock Springs and Miller's Mary Manor. They will bring in a lunch, and then they'll play bingo afterwards. And on Thursday, we have around 80 people in the senior center. But the collaboration, the foundation had a meeting today about collaborations. And one of the collaborations that we're doing is with Cardinal Services. I think most of you are aware that Cardinal does our maintenance for our buses. They've got a great mechanic that's licensed. He's the same type of buses and vans. We just take it in and we pay them, you know, the normal rate, and that money goes towards Cardinal's local match. I've talked about that collaboration, but recently there's a new collaboration. Tony Peterson and Norma Bauer, used to be Norma Kimes, came to my place and asked if they could bring some of their clients for bingo on Thursdays. I was a little worried at first that it was going to be a big number, but it's only 4, and they have a caregiver, so it's no problem at all. The other collaboration is they want their clients to have meaningful volunteer opportunities. So right now, in the last couple months, we have started where their clients with supervision are delivering meals. They're covering one route every day. And Kim, one of the young ladies that come to our place was in our graduating class.
Really?
You know who I'm talking about?
Probably.
Yeah. And just imagine her bringing a meal up to somebody.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So that's just a great collaboration we have with Cardinal Services. Our budget request ask is a little more. We're asking 40. We have 40,000. We have had some hits with funders lately. We appreciate the regular monthly amount that we get from the county. We can count on it. It's always there. But grants and gifts are up and down. You never know what you're going to get. You write a grant, you wait and open the mailbox every day and hope it's for what you ask. So that's what we're asking for, is $40,000 this year. I'd be happy to take any questions if you have them.
No question?
Wow. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for
Okay,
everything you do.
No problem.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, next up, St. Joe River Basin, Matt Mearsman. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Matt Mearsman. Technically, I'm an employee of the Michiana Area Council of Governments, but I serve as the director of the St. Joe River Basin Commission. And like David, I think this is probably my 7th year coming before y'all. A little bit about the organization. We were created by the Indiana General Assembly. Technically, we're an agency of the state, but we're an organization of local governments. I included in your packet a map of what is the St. Joe River Basin, which includes land in 15 counties between Indiana and Michigan. And we were created to address water quality and flood hazard mitigation throughout the basin, all the lakes and streams that flow to it. So you might say, well, the St. Joe River doesn't come through Kosciuszko County, but the northern third or so of the county drains to the St. Joe. And although our statute talks about working collaboratively with Michigan, all of our funding and our governance lies on the Indiana side of the line. We were created by the Indiana General Assembly. So we have membership from each of the 6 counties in northern Indiana. And I guess the main thing, to say thank you not only for the financial support that you've offered over the years, but the participation. From Kosciuszko County, there's 5 members that sit on our board, and we have really good participation, quarterly meetings, and good contributions from the Kosciuszko County members. For those you don't know, we've got the surveyor's office, county commissioners have a seat, the health department has a seat, and the Soil and Water Conservation District, all from the county, and then town of Syracuse is the largest municipality in the basin in Kosciuszko County, so they've been participating. And I just want you to know, like some of the others, to know that your financial support, which we're asking, we had a 1% increase in our request, $3,794 that we're asking for. We rely on these local government appropriations to fund our basic operations. And that allows us to keep the doors open, but we're able to utilize that money and leverage it as much as 2 to 1 with the funding we get from the state as well as the grants that we pursue. So this helps us keep the doors open, but we do go after and have been able to leverage your money 2 to 1. The number itself is not arbitrary. Our statute provides a method for how that's to be broken down. So I mentioned about 20% of the land in Kosciuszko County drains to the St. Joe. That makes up about 6% of the total land area in the basin. So what you're seeing is 6% of the cost of our basic operation budget. So about a $65,000 budget. And the town of Syracuse also contributes a little bit based on population. I guess just wanted to give a couple highlights over the last year of what we've been up to. We mostly work, I mentioned the different members, but I'd say we work most closely with the Surveyor's Office and the Soil and Water Conservation District. We have been doing some water quality monitoring. Mostly Turkey Creek is the main tributary, so I should have mentioned Lake Wawasee is the big part of the county that comes to the St. Joe. And Lake Wawasee is fed by and drains to Turkey Creek. And we've been working with some partners, Elkhart County and Noble County, on a watershed management plan for Turkey Creek. We do some macroinvertebrate monitoring. We look at the bugs that are living in there. That helps us tell how the water's doing. And we've been talking to the Surveyor's Office. The county recently received some money from Monsanto, a PCB settlement. It's about $17,000. And we've been working with the Surveyor's Office. I talked to the commissioners a little bit about that. Money was intended for monitoring. And we would like to provide an opportunity for the county to use that money for monitoring and leverage it a little bit where we could cost share with you on it and install, we wouldn't be looking at PCBs. What we'd like to look at is flow. How much water is coming through the system, and we'd be looking at Turkey Creek. So we talked about a couple locations there. Water monitoring, though, is the main thing. The other thing, it has to do with trees and urban tree canopy. We worked with the town of Syracuse on an analysis of their urban tree canopy to try and identify what parts of the town were missing canopy, not just where it was missing or thin, but where it would have the most ability to take water out of the storm sewer system. And we identified those priority areas, and then we worked with them. We purchased 50, landscape-sized trees and planted those trees in the strategic locations, and that project was pretty successful. And so we just went after a grant through the Inflation Reduction Act to sort of expand that project beyond, it was town of Syracuse and a few other municipalities, but we're trying to, it serves marginalized areas, but there are some of those in each of the counties, and we hope to get some more trees in the ground, take water off the system. And last but not least, drainage. Told you I work with the Drainage Board. We work on a benefit apportionment. We recently had our big event finally back in person again. There was a symposium, and Jim Moyer from the Surveyor's Office participated in our panel and had a great day up in St. Joe County was where the event was held. But that's all I've got in the way of a formal presentation. I'd welcome any questions or
Any questions?
anything. Well, I just thank you guys for your support. Really do appreciate it.
I have a comment. Excuse me. Representative Gutwein was quite responsible. I got more out of your presentation tonight than I got year after year out of him trying to create this commission.
Well, I appreciate that. I work with the legislators a lot. That's actually become one of the biggest parts of this job that I had no idea on the front end. In our statute, we have the authority to advocate on behalf of the river. And I spend more time than I ever thought I would down in Indianapolis because there's always some kind of legislation going on related to the water. So
Thank you, Matt.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, next
care
up,
of my leg.
ARPA committee recommendations. KCCVB, Corey Humes.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
How is everybody?
Excellent.
We're getting through. Isn't it the beautiful day today?
Yes.
Anywho's, I am the director of the Kosciuszko County Convention and Visitors Bureau. And again, I want to thank you for the opportunity on behalf of our board of directors to share this exciting project that we have presented to you today. I wasn't sure if the group had examples Okay, you do. Of what? This digital message board sign is a project and opportunity to drive millions to Kosciuszko County and our amazing destinations. The current V's exterior sign has been erected for 24 years and has been a welcoming beacon to our county, to visitors, pass-through travelers, corporate, as well as residents. While this sign has been a wonderful wayfinding tool for the county and the visitor center, it does become static. So as people are driving by, it's just more of, it's there, it's been there. There's more that we can do with that location on 30 and where we're located there on Capitol Drive. So with that, county's landscape, there's this opportunity with all of the digital signs that we have been seeing grow up on US 30 now, to put one there to showcase digital marketing, why Kosciuszko is a great place to live, work, and play. And I'm also going to throw that learn into that as well, since we have so many great universities and local school corporations as well. So with that, we have the capability of communicating events, health and wellness initiatives, as well as a need for any safety concerns, quality of life, if there ever is a necessary from the county or the county council, county commissioners, or our EMA, if they need us to share any weather advisories, Amber Alerts, et cetera, we have that capability to do that per your request. There is over 8 million vehicles that do travel US 30. This is why we want to try to take and capture that. It's a wonderful marketing tool for us, and with our location, we feel it would be a great, not only tourism economic impact, but we thought it would also be a great impact for industry as well. So with that, we hope to gain over 13 million marketing impressions per year, which would include that 1.5 passengers per vehicle, you know, that half person. But are recommended by our board of directors, as well as the company the board did bid to use, that the sign would be about a 16-foot by 8-foot. It would be in the place of the current V. It's the best way to explain her. And it's in a great location. So with your recommendation, I know the ARPA committee did recommend $100,000. We are seeking the remainder of that with our KCC RVC Tourism Commission group. We have been having talks with them, so we hope that it can be fully funded with their cooperation. And we didn't know if there was any other questions I had. We do know this can be a great opportunity, not only for the Convention and Visitors Bureau, but all of what we can promote on there for the whole county as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the cost that you have here, the 160, 530,
Yes.
that is just for the sign and installation?
That is for the whole, it's for the cabinet, sign, digital sign, the whole package, as
Correct.
well as installation.
Okay.
Yes,
And then does that include taking down the old sign?
it does.
And then what do you estimate as your cost as far as monthly electricity costs with the new, old sign and then the new sign?
Well, the new sign is electric, so we do have it illuminated. So from what we have gathered, it will not be much of an increase at all currently for electric, because the sign is already, it's an LED sign, so it's minimal cost. They don't project very minimal additional cost to our annual, our monthly bill. So it shouldn't be much costly on a sustainability issue. And the sign has the capability of a 15-plus year lifespan for this digital sign, if that helps.
Where are you getting the additional 60-some thousand to pay for it?
We're hoping with cooperation with the Kosciuszko County Tourism Commission, the KCC RVC, where we do get funded through. They have additional grant programs that they do have, and we've been discussing with them of this opportunity to request funds from them, hopefully in July. So around a nose, but we have been having those discussions. So that's our goal, to help complete the remainder funds with them.
Any plans for the historic V?
No, we're still investigating that. We know that there have been some comments. Yeah, well, it's been there for 24 years, and I know some people have feelings, so if you like it or not. So yes, we're investigating that, if what we can do with it.
Maybe the courthouse lawn.
Yeah, does anyone? No, I don't think anyone.
I'm getting a no from the back there.
I don't know, maybe Las Vegas will take, I don't know. We are still
And the sign
investigating.
Graveyard, you know, they have a sign graveyard there. Did you know that?
I did not know
Yes,
that.
they do.
I mean,
sign
24
graveyard.
years ago, it was, but we're grateful for the companies able to remove it as part of the cost, so.
Did you get other quotes on this
We
sign?
did, we got 2 other quotes.
Okay.
So yes, we didn't just go with one company, we
Just
went.
curious.
I agree, nope, we did.
And do you have a time frame for installation if you get all your funding?
Yeah, they said it could take as quickly as 6 to 12 weeks, just depending on supply. And the bid that we have shared with you is a 3-month, 90-day bid. And they're going to keep that depending on our progress, because I know, we all know how time-consuming sometimes could be. But yes, that is what they shared with us.
Corey, if we're done with that, I have an add-a-girl for Corey.
Oh,
Your visitor's guide
did you like
was,
it?
well,
Oh,
it was evidently distributed through the Indianapolis Star to Hendricks County. A Hendricks County Council member called me and said, I am so impressed with that magazine because he's interested in cut glass, and he now
good.
plans to come to Warsaw and spend a weekend
That's fabulous.
seeing all the things that were in that book. So I guarantee you have reached one person with that book
Well,
with a
thank
very,
you
very
very much.
positive attitude, enough to inspire him to call me on Sunday afternoon to tell me, so.
I appreciate you sharing that. Yes, our team does a great job and a lot of time and work to make sure that happens and is a good showcase of why we love Kosciuszko County. So thank you for sharing that. That means a lot. Thank you.
Just a question.
Yes.
If this sign goes through
Mm-hmm.
and you put it up, you will open it to other people like Wagon Wheel and other places
our
that
plan.
could
So-
advertise?
So right now, we don't have like an advertising model. It would be we would just do what we already do, say like our events page, for instance. So if Wagon Wheel is having an event, we will post it. If the Kosciuszko Historical Society is having exhibits, if Pearson, if Syracuse, all of our communities are having what we already are doing on our website, we wanted to amplify that as well onto that sign, along with other quality knife initiatives as well. So yes, it will be a countywide effort there, so yes.
Silly question.
Yes.
Did they say that it may deter people from looking at the road?
They did not. I know that is an issue that people,
I mean,
we've
'cause-
come to our attention.
Because it's going to be bold. It looks like it would be bold.
It will. It won't be as nearly as large as maybe, for example, the Kosciuszko County Hospital sign. It won't be as large as that. But they did not. We're hoping because of the speed of traffic through there currently due to stops that it will not make any issues when it comes to traffic. So they did not say of any issues on that end when we did bring that up.
Okay.
But I can investigate if you would like to know.
I was just curious.
I understand. It's like a billboard or anything else, yes.
Thank you, Corey.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Can we have a discussion? I just have a question. Since I don't sit on the ARPA committee, if we wanted to give more than the ARPA committee recommended, do we have that ability?
Yeah, we do. Yes, because the ARPA committee just recommends. They're not.
Well, but they have a budget. They have only so much money.
The issue with that is the funds are getting scarce. And that's why we felt that we needed to be where we ended up, just because we don't want to make pledges or grants that we can't fund. So,
I just think the outstanding balance
Yes.
that they're still going to need is pretty huge.
yes, and we did consider that, but it was a very tough meeting to sit through. So there was a lot of teeth gritting, I think, toward the end, so that's what we felt we could do.
And I do believe, obviously, if there is no other funding, we may need to entertain coming back to address that. I mean, that's not.
Thank you, that works.
Well, I mean,
Right.
either that or they're not going to get the $100,000. It's one or the other, because you can't give them
Right.
part of it if they can't get the other half. and you know, that is the innkeeper tax money.
Right.
So it would seem that would be a good fit for them to help fund it. but-
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I seconded.
Okay, Kathy, second. All those usual? Okay, so moved. Next up is the man with the collar in the back. Nice to see you wore a collar tonight, Steve. Old Joe.
Good morning, or good afternoon.
Good
afternoon.
Good evening.
Evening, yeah.
Thanks for having me tonight to talk about what we're looking for ARPA money is for paving and intersection improvements, safety improvements to 1300 North. Currently, we're underway right now. We're doing an overpass project, or it goes over the railroad, giving access from State Road 15 directly on to 1300 North. With that, it's a special area because that's where Norfolk Southern and CSX mix. So we do have a lot of different companies that are already there, and then some that are wanting to come, and then some that are wanting to expand, being like Pollywood. So with this improvement, this would connect that from 13 to 15 all the way through from basically from Milford to Syracuse. It would, and it would expand the shoulders, resurfacing and upgrades to 300 East and State Road 1300, not State Road, County Road 1300 North, where it would be a better, safer intersection. Yeah. Not that it's not safe now, but with the increase in semis, it would be
Yeah,
safer
and
to
right
handle.
now, Pollywood, as of last week, are doing 80 trucks a day, 80 semis a day.
Yeah.
So,
So what kind of improvements are you looking at 300 East?
What we do is we'd widen the intersection, give it a turn lane, kind of like what we did at 150 there, where it's coming off now, just over the overpass when True Point went in. With that money that we're asking for, I should have said the amount, that'd be nice. $1,888,000 for that. The total project's about $2.88 million. We're gonna throw in $1 million from the MVH fund.
Now, there was some mention of ARPA dollars, of community crossings early, but these funds cannot be used for that.
Right, correct. They cannot match that.
Yep, okay.
I make a motion that we approve the $1,888,000 requested for the improvements.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Usual sign. All those in favor? Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Next up is
Marcia.
Carrie McSherry.
Same thing, only different. First of all, I want to say thank you for the approval of the 1300 North project, because I do think that that is a really important project for the economic development of our county looking forward, as well as remembering that this money from ARPA is money that is to help. 10 million of that was income replacement that we lost during COVID, and probably one of the biggest areas that we did get hit was our MVH fund from the fuel tax. So I really think that that's a great project that we're able to put forward. So thank you for that vote. Next, on the agenda, the two items that I have this morning or this evening here is, the first one is the fire alarm system, which, if you notice, that's just a transfer from money that has already been appropriated through ARPA for the fire alarm, but we were able to get competitive bids on that, and we're able to knock that price down considerably. So that $76,000 that we're requesting is for a fire alarm here in the old courthouse that would connect up with the building, or the new one we just put in the Justice Building. So that would give compatibility between the two. That way, if there's any sort of emergency, you hit one button, it goes off everywhere simultaneously. Because the system we currently have here in this building is pretty antiquated. Some areas, it's an air horn when you go in the hallway. So it's definitely in need of a good update. But the nice thing about the $76,000, it is just a transfer from monies that have already been set aside, so it's not an additional from the ARPA funds. So,
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Well, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, the usual? So moved.
thank you. Next one I have is concerning the Justice Building. So this is a project we'd been looking at for some time here. We had hired a architecture firm, Design Collaborative, here a few months back to kind of look at the project with us. They went through room by room and walked through that, trying to designate what would need to happen in what room as far as and this is an update on the interior of the Justice Building. So we're talking about carpet, paint, wallpaper, some base trim in some areas, but no like doorways or anything like that. I mean, it's more the cosmetics of it. You know, that's a building that served us well for well over 20 years. And, you know, we walked through that, come up with an estimate. You know, we have a in-house estimate that they did. They're at the architecture firm. They came up with that as a little less than 2.4 million. And it's a good estimate with some contingency in there because the way construction projects are running right now, you know, they've continued to increase in cost. But it's something that, you know, that the building's just in need of a good update over there, so.
Does that include furniture or anything like that?
No, it'd be no new furniture. There may be an opportunity, though. I think some of the courtrooms have some old chairs. They're like an old orange carpet. That part of that we'll be looking at, maybe possibly doing some repolstering on some of those, because the wood furniture is still really good, but the carpet is really, or the covering is really looking bad.
Now, in my tour, I, you know, looked at the ceilings and I saw some issues with some ceilings. This does not address any of that.
It would not be ceiling tile. Now, I think as we walk through that, I mean, if there's some ceilings, some small ceiling tile updates that we could do, you know, I'm sure with the contingency we have in there, those could be done, but it's not a complete, like, all new lighting, all new grid.
Right.
Because part of the problem you start into that is that ceiling tile, they probably don't make anymore, so then you got to do a new grid, and then it just spirals out of control into something that's even greater than what we're talking about here.
And if approved, my understanding is it's going to be a 2x2 square carpet tiles.
Yep.
That, are there any plans to have a stockpile?
We do.
Of those for replacements in case of obsolescence?
That's what we've done with the other, pretty much that's what we're going to with all the new carpet that we've been doing. That way, if there's a really bad stain or a damage with that 2x2, it's really simple to do a repair and remove that. And we always get a few extra boxes. Obviously, the type of square footage we're talking here would probably be more than a few extra boxes, but.
Okay. Additional questions?
Carrie, is this inclusive of the entire Justice Building or just the public sectors?
No, it's going into the offices and everything. I mean, it's a pretty extensive, I mean, there's a lot of square footage over there in that building.
So back in the judges' chambers areas and the law
Yes.
library and all those things? Okay.
Did you get any other quotes?
Well, at this point, this is just a quote from the architect. It'll go out for bid. It's not been put out for bid yet. So we're getting the dollars. So the quote we currently have is from Design Collaborative, which is the architectural firm, because they'll need to be, you know, they'll do a design for us as far as, and also even how it'll be done from a scheduling, because all these offices are active. So, I mean, there'll be a plan of, okay, we'll do this office first, because we've already talked with all the office holders to make sure that this can be done on regular time, to make sure there wasn't a upcharge for premium time as far as off shift or on weekends. So right now, this is a budget estimate from the architect, and they'll put the documents together, and it'll go out for a formal bid to multiple contractors to actually do the work. So this right now is just a bid from the architect to understand what the scope or what the budget might be for the project.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I've already gotten pushback from public.
Yeah.
2.4 million is just a ridiculous figure. It really is.
Getting
Well,
a lot of calls.
Right.
And my concern, gonna piggyback on Joni's, is that, you know, the reason we're in this situation is because we didn't stagger maintenance, you know, 5 years and 10 years and, you know, do a little bit at a time. It seems like if we do this all at once, we're gonna have the same problem in 10 years. I mean, you know what I mean? Are we?
But if you stagger, say you only do a room at a time or a section at a time, you're either taking something out before it's due or before it's fully used, or if you're staggering, you may have something that's way past its prime that it needs to be redone. So the other thing that I would say with that, if you're looking from a cost perspective, you're always going to get your best price when you're buying in volume and you're doing a larger project than, okay, we're going to do these 3 rooms this year and these 3 rooms next year. You know, it's a little easier when it's like the old courthouse. There's not as many things that are contiguous, but with those rooms, a lot of the carpet connects. All of a sudden, you could have problems. You start with this color carpet, but in 2 years, they don't make that carpet anymore, or that color, or that wallpaper. So trying to keep that consistency throughout the building, that it all looks nice and consistent. I really think the best way to do this is to do it all at one time versus staggering it like that in this particular instance.
Okay, so this architectural firm that was chosen or that is working on this project.
Right.
They actually have a fee. Is that built into the 2.4 or is this in addition to?
It's in here. The project estimator, is it 64,860?
Well, the fee is coming out, has already been paid for out of, or is being paid for out of contractual from the commissioners, which is, I think, 19.5. Yeah, 19.5 was the total contract fee for them to look at it, do an estimate, put a project together for them.
And then would that include them also sending out for quotes?
For quotes and everything, yep.
Then I move that we table this until we get quotes back and know exactly what we're talking about dollar-wise.
Well, the only thing that I would say is we can't put something out for bid that we don't have funding for.
Yeah, legally you
But
cannot.
you do have funds. It may not be ARPA funds, but there are funds out there. I mean, there are funds in edit, there are other funds that could be used. So if you had it quoted and it came in at half of this,
Well,
I
mean,
don't know
we're-
that it
we're
will.
We're only going to spend what the quotes come back in at. I mean, it's just like other ARPA funds that have been allocated. If there's additional funds, those get put back into the bucket and reallocated back into whatever ARPA projects would be selected by the commission.
I understand that, but I also don't think that the due diligence has been done to know exactly what this is going to cost. So I stand by my motion to table it, because we do have other funds we could pull. It doesn't have to be ARPA funds.
The only thing I would say with that is I know that, you know, the architecture firm that did this, I mean, they went through and did a room-by-room square footage. I mean, they done a true takeoff. They're a large firm with multiple locations. You know, they have spreadsheets that trend out. I mean, I can have them send you the whole spreadsheet. I mean, this isn't just like a napkin. I know what you see on this quote looks pretty napkin, but there's a whole big spreadsheet that shows all the square footage of the carpet, square footage of the wallpaper, square footage of the painting, square footage of what's being removed, what's being put back into paint. Because some of this, you know, as we look at that, it's a pretty extensive. So I'm not saying that there isn't some fluff possibly in that number, but, you know, we're only going to spend what the projects come back as from a, you know, with a competitive bid, what those projects actually cost. You know, so that would get reestablished. But the only thing that I would say is we're trying to hit a window a little bit of trying to get this out for bid here soon, because contractors are several months out, you know, and if we're talking about wanting to use ARPA dollars, we want to make sure the project can be completed in the time frame that those ARPA dollars have to be spent by. So I think the sooner that we can get the architect, you know, finalizing those drawings and get this out on the street for bid, because the other thing I would say is most contractors are really busy right now, that, you know, what normally would be something that would start maybe in a couple, 3 months, it may be 6 months before a contractor can even get started on something like this. So trying to get it in the pipeline, the sooner the better. I think if you're looking at trying to get as competitive numbers as you can, giving the contractor flexibility of when he can start a little bit within reason, helps mitigate those costs if they're really busy. If their belly's full, they may not even take a look at a project because they don't have the capacity.
Another thing too is, even though we may have other funds that we could use, if we don't allocate these funds towards this project, I don't think they can get bids, because we haven't said yes to funding it with other sources.
Okay.
Standing by my motion.
Okay. So we have a design contingency, and then we have a construction contingency, and then we have a contractor fee in there. So can you explain to me what the difference is between the construction contingency? Is that just the built-in
Yeah, so a
inflation?
contingency is, you know, things that are unforeseen, like
Gotcha.
let's say
Gotcha.
we're, you know, there's some trim or something we figure out that's not gonna match the carpet, or when they pull it off, they are not able to put it back on. So those are some design things, or design could even be if there is a little scope creep that we do want to do some ceiling tile. So there is some fluff of this number, but, you know, this isn't a hard quote from them. This is a budget estimate that's in front of them. It's not like we're agreeing that all these monies are there for them to spend, and if it's a contingency, you only spend what is charged to that project. after there's been authority to be able to move forward with that additional change order or additional scope of work.
And we also have to pay their performance and payment bond, which I find very interesting.
Well, that's built into every
Understand.
project that's
That's
built,
every-
that's bid by, to the county. It's just, they line-ironed it out, so they took the cost of those materials and what the average rates were, so that just short of $1.5 million. And then they went through the other conditions. As a contractor, he's gonna add these other conditions to there for general conditions, which is the overhead of being able to put the project together and manage it. And then you have your insurance, your performance bond, which is required by the state that we have those for any projects, I think over $150,000, I think, is the number. You know, then those other design contingencies, that's why I'm saying there's some money built into that for some contingencies, but those are only if we approve to move forward with those. But they just want to make sure, because we told them we wanted to come with a number that we knew we weren't going to come back to the well for more money after the fact.
So,
We,
so ask, what's the process once you get bids? So let's assume we say yes to this, then what's the process?
So the process would be, they would finalize the drawings, which they're working on those now. We've went through, met with all the department heads to just make sure that there wasn't any areas that we couldn't have during regular work hours. So they have all that information. They're doing a design to put out for bid. So the project would go out for bid. The contractors would probably have 30 days probably to put a number together. And then once those bids would come back to the commissioners, probably at a commissioner meeting, those would be opened in public opening, read aloud. And then from there, we'd take those quotes, go back to the architect, as well as probably a commissioner, and sit down and walk through what those bids look like and figure out which is the most complete bid, most competitive bid, and make a selection from that process. As well as I think in their part of their thing that they were going to do, there was going to be some unit prices on there as far as that we knew if there was an increase or decrease in scope, that then you could plus or minus dollars out of the project based upon if we decided we wanted to add or not do a room or something like that. You had those unit prices up front to be able to do subtractions or additions to the contract if there was a change in scope.
Dave?
Yeah, you said you had a spreadsheet that has a lot more detail on it. I mean, is it actually so many square feet times so
Right.
much for this?
Right.
Because I've had absolutely no positive feedback. I'm sure a lot of you had an awful lot of negative feedback. You're going to spend how much to redo that place? I'd almost like to see that. Is 30 or 60 days going to throw things off as far as the ARPA, when you spend ARPA?
I mean, if we did, we want to make sure that you have all the information you need. I don't have a copy of that. I seen it on his computer screen as far as this big Excel spreadsheet. So, and he's more than happy because he was really geeking out about it when he was showing it to me, because estimator's kind of what I do, so it was kind of cool to see how he did it. But I'm sure he'd be happy to share that with you and give you a detailed scope that really showed the square footage, the cost of the carpet. Because, we hit what we're talking about is this isn't a carpet that you're going to stick in your house. I mean, this is a commercial kind of severe duty type carpet that is expensive per square yard, but that's what you need to do to get some longevity out of that carpet. But we're happy to get that other information and get back to you if you'd like to table it.
So did you second my tabling motion?
I would second your tabling motion, yes.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second to table it to the July meeting. Okay,
Pending receiving the spreadsheet with all of the detail.
do you have a time frame on wanting to receive the spreadsheet?
What?
So you have plenty of time to review it.
In, within 2 weeks, I would think.
In advance of our next meeting, yeah, so we got
Okay.
time to look at it.
All right, we have the motion and a second to table it to the July meeting. All those in favor? Those opposed?
You're opposing?
I went through it, I've been through it from one end to the other.
The other thing that I would encourage you guys to do, if you haven't had a moment, Marcia would be happy. I know that he did Mike and some others. She took them around and gave them a tour of our justice building over there. And there's some areas that are in dire need of some updating and some repair.
And I guess I'll quantify my vote. I mean, I spent a good deal of time over there. I didn't realize the building was that big, number one. So I got my exercise in that day. But we have a definite need. We have the dollars available. yes, I don't like the $2.4 million, but I understand in my mindset, when I voted for this and the ARPA committee was up to $2.4 million with no furniture involved, because quite frankly, some of that was frivolous request we received last month. That being said, I'm in the process of building right now. I know things aren't getting cheaper by the day. So, yes, I would echo what Sue Ann pointed out last month. I would like to see a program going forward of 10 years. We address a certain area of the building and, and hopefully with Reedy's here tonight, we can address some of those issues. So I think we're in a position now to where we have to do something. We have the funds available, let's use them in a wise way. But, I agree, I can agree both ways. I just had to make a vote. I just had to.
And I also want to say, if you think about it, we are blessed to have the ARPA money to be able to accomplish this, because that's going to allow us to do several, perhaps, other things that we need to get on a 3-year, 1, 3, 5, 7, 10-year plan. So that's a positive of it.
The other thing that I would say is, some of the wallpaper especially, I mean, obviously this didn't cause the carpet stains and some of that stuff, but, some of the wallpaper, when we were in the process of changing out those chillers a couple of years ago.
It was environmental.
And the environment got humid, and, it went from supposed to have been here 6 months later before the chiller actually showed up because of COVID. So, I mean, it's one of those things that there is a correlation back to the COVID funding that ties back to some of the cause of that. Obviously, not all of it. I mean, the building has served us well. It's been there a long time, and we want to make sure that it's something that we can be proud of when our public comes into to do their business, so.
I'd like to clarify the fact that my vote for tabling it is not that I'm against the project, because I really think it needs to be done. But I have to answer to those people outside these four walls, so I want to make sure I do my due diligence first. I know that building needs work. There's absolutely, I'm in it a lot, so I know that. But I just want to make sure we're doing our due diligence here before we accept that. So it's not a vote against it, Carrie. It's just, let's make sure we're doing everything right.
And I think, Carrie, I think that we echo that, because, if you get a dozen calls and they're up in arms and you can't even really explain specifically, then we
Okay.
need to be able to do that.
Okay,
Thank
enough on
you.
that.
We have a very patient man waiting on the back
No,
row.
wait, we're not
We have
done.
one more
Got one more
question.
there.
Still have one more
Oh,
thing
that's
for
right.
Marcia
And I even
/ Carrie to
requested it.
address.
Sorry, Barry.
Yeah, so current to date, at the end of April, we're setting at just under 10% below our budgeted amount, so we've spent like 27,110 currently for the dollars that we spent that was designated for the commissioners, and we spent 1,150 of the 10,000 that was designated for the highway department. So we're trending a little, the commissioner's part's just shy of 10% under budget. The highway department is well under, I mean, they've only used about 10, 15% of their budget so far. But those things keep floating around. I mean, there's a lot of things happening right now. So.
Isn't there a
could we
May
receive
billing
another-
out?
What's
I
that?
thought there was a May billing that was just.
I don't think it's due to the 15th. I've not seen it.
We are supposed to be getting a copy of that billing with all the detail prior to our council meetings.
every
We have
month.
not received one at all this year. Just, if you
The
would
o-
pass
the only-
on that, we
I
would
think the only one-
appreciate
I thought
that.
there was one requested for for December last year, towards the end of the year, but I didn't realize it was supposed to continue.
We agreed,
Yeah.
it's in our minutes, that we will be provided every month with a breakdown of what that invoice is and the year-to-date.
That would be my bad. I mean,
Could,
I thought we were going to look at it
No.
every quarter, which I failed to do
Every month.
that.
Every month.
And I was just going to request, could we get an update in October, but
there may be a simpler solution. The auditor's office would have the ability
That's right.
to print out what's being paid out of that particular line item. So maybe we could work with the auditor's office
Exactly.
to receive that on a monthly basis,
That'd be the
which then
easiest.
takes
Right.
all that away.
We wouldn't have the detail, though, Sue Ann.
It would all be available at the auditor's office, and generally, there's a brief snippet of what's there, what's been done. I
Well, I
mean, we
c-
might try it for at least a month and see. If it doesn't give us enough information, we can come back and ask for more.
Anything would be better than what we have at this
There
point.
you go.
I congratulate Carrie for being under budget.
Okay.
Hey, Karen,
Anything else?
and I congratulate you for like coming to the meeting.
And being Marcia.
Taking the heat.
No problem.
Okay,
Thank you,
Carrie, we're
Carrie.
ready.
Sorry, Barry.
Fort Barry.
As Barry's coming up here, you know, Barry, if you would have lived in Indianapolis, you could have been done and on your way home by now.
you go.
Because that's how those other guys got ahead of you. I'm just saying.
They had to get back home, huh?
Uh-huh.
So I know $2.4 million is a lot of money, but coming from a guy that's in that building every day, especially in that public entrance where there's wallpaper peeling off and there's metal hanging in the men's bathroom to cover holes in the wall, I would just encourage you to think about making that presentable to the public. And it's not the only part of that building that needs to be addressed. And so I do appreciate all the effort they've been putting into that. I know 2.4 is a lot of money, but we would appreciate a little TLC over there. So thanks for looking at that. But why I'm here is to apologize and ask for forgiveness. We went and got a grant before we had time to come and ask permission.
I noticed that.
So from you guys and from the commissioners, unfortunately, the timing of this grant did not allow for us to get in front of you ahead of time. So it's one of those things where I'm going to do it and come back and ask for forgiveness later. So that's why I'm here tonight. It's $10,000. It's been awarded. We have the money. So I just need for you to tell me that you forgive me. And then I think we also probably need your permission tonight to appropriate that money. I think you have in front of you the appropriation breakdown. We'll spend some of that at our national conference at the end of the month. We have some money set aside for incentives, graduation supplies, and to help some indigent funding for treatment. So that's my reason to be here tonight.
Just to
forgive you.
clarify, just to clarify, the grant was applied for the 19th of January. It was approved on the 11th of April, and here you are today, so thank you.
Well, I
That's why we
move,
made you sit back here until the last.
punish you.
Doing penance.
Well, I would move to approve that.
I'll second it, and I'll also, if you'd amend it to give forgiveness.
Yeah.
Don't let it
And I
happen
forgive you
again.
too.
Thank you for forgiving me. I
Okay,
appreciate it.
so we have
So-
a motion and a second.
And I have a question. There's a conference included. Where is that conference to be, and how many people are going?
Yeah.
It's in Texas, Houston. It's into this month, and there are 10 of us going.
Now, is it a conference or a junket?
What?
Is it a conference or a junket? A junket's more of a party.
So 10 of
junk.
you are going for $4,000?
No. It's probably $25,000 that the conference
The
is
grant is,
But that's going to help cover part of the
4,000.
cost.
okay.
Yeah, we have other grant money that's covering the other part of the cost.
So just a question then, if 10 of you are going,
Who's all
who's
going?
included in that 10, and is
So-
there anybody left?
Me, Judge Reed, Judge Bauer, Judge McGrath.
Okay.
Judge Keeler, Brad Voles, Tammy Johnson, Abby Rank, and RJ Nuthaway.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm surprised I got all 10.
Excellent.
And how many days is it?
We fly out on the 26th. Let me get my calendar.
Of June?
We fly out the 25th of June,
Mm-hmm.
out of Midway down to Houston. And then we fly back on the 29th, the reverse of that.
Okay.
I can tell you where we're staying if you would
No,
like.
you're-
No,
I'm
okay,
good.
okay.
I'm good. I just was curious.
second.
Okay,
I'm
we
gonna
have-
I already seconded.
we have a motion, we have
we
a
already
second.
seconded. Oh,
All those in favor, usual sign.
Thanks for allowing me to make this mistake. Have a good
Thank
evening.
Thank you.
Safe travels.
Okay.
I'll be
Next
short. The income ring for May is $1,168.12.
Oh, thanks, Rhonda. You're next up.
Thank you.
So the encumbrance, I'm sorry, you guys all know I got a million questions. But the one encumbrance that was $168.12, I just question what these bills are for and where have they been? If it's that amount, were we waiting on something to be delivered?
I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah.
Which one are you talking about?
Which one are you talking about, Samantha?
the encumbering sheet.
Yeah, I'm looking at
Okay,
it.
I was trying to find it in my
Uh-huh.
stuff.
Okay.